but it's not an excuse. It's an explanation. It's an explanation to help you understand that I communicate differently. There's this one thing that people say, and it bugs me. And that's what I'm talking about today. Now and then in the comment section or in conversations with people, usually online, because I don't talk about my own experience as an autistic person very much in my everyday life. Someone says to me, don't use your disability as an excuse. I've had someone say to me, I'm disabled too, and I don't use my disability as an excuse. You shouldn't either. And the reason I'm talking about this today is because I think that it is important to examine our own internalized ableism. We grow up in a society that really prizes accomplishment. I can say I internalized that as much as anyone. I was extremely driven in school. I needed to be the best at everything. I was very competitive. I remember pushing myself to read more than the boy sitting next to me when I was in first grade. Our teacher actually had to set a limit on how much we could read each day because it became so much about winning between me and him. I don't think that's super uncommon for some of us. Many of us realize from a really young age that we're different, that we don't quite fit, and it's almost like there can be something to prove. Some people completely react against that and rebel, and other people throw themselves into it and try to follow the rules and do everything perfectly. For me, I was definitely a rule follower as long as I thought the rules were fair, because I definitely had a strong sense of justice too. But my point is, especially as an autistic person who wasn't diagnosed until I was an adult, I was very wary of ever admitting weakness. I would push myself through pain, through stress, through anxiety, and just keep on that mask, the facade that nothing was wrong. And seeing that that can lead to depression and anxiety and really some dark places in life as I do this longer, both as a person and as a parent, I don't find that there's anything embarrassing about being gentler with myself, not pushing myself so hard, and admitting that I have weaknesses. Every time it's come up, it has been in regard to the way I speak and the way I communicate. For me, verbal communication is a weakness. I mean, I showed the video with all the ums and ands and all the ways that I piece together my thoughts to make them come out in a nice little package for this channel. But it doesn't change the fact that communicating verbally is more difficult for me. Isn't something that comes natural to me. I don't script things because when I have a script or even a bullet point list, I cling to it and I would not be able to look up at the camera at all. It would just be me looking down every 2 words and then looking back up and looking down and back up, even though I know my stuff. Which is why I don't script it. I generally go over videos in my head while I'm driving over and over again, videos that I haven't made, that is, until I know what I'm going to say, and then I sit down and say it. And sometimes that means that I have to patch things together, but it's way better than the stilted videos I have come up with when I tried to use scripts. And an example of that could be seen in my crime channel. I haven't made a lot of videos because I was starting that right before the pandemic started. I needed a script for those videos. And even though when I'm telling my husband's stories that I have heard online, because I have a true crime addiction, when I'm telling Paul's stories about some case I've heard about, I can tell the entire story without even pausing to think about it, and I get all those little details. And as soon as I sit down into in front of the camera with a script in my hand or even bullet points, it's like blank. I have to look down. I have to rely on the script totally. And this is even more extreme in social situations. Generally, if I'm talking about one of my kids, like later today I have an IEP meeting, I can talk and talk and talk because I'm advocating for someone else. But when I'm not like protecting my kids or trying to get a good situation for them or figure things out, when it's not something I guess that I'm passionate about, I clam up. I have a harder time. I second guess myself. I second guess what I'm going to say, or I end up thinking for, 10 years about something that I said that came out wrong. And even though I know that no one else remembers that thing that I said in 2000, I remember it. And it's hard not to beat myself up over it. There are things that I love about being autistic and about even my ADHD. I love being able to hyper-focus on something and have time fly by. And as I get older, I like that my brain doesn't work in the same way. I remember walking around college when we'd read the same books and I would get something totally different from it And I wondered what was wrong with me. And now I know that my brain just processes things differently. It picks up on different things as important. And a lot of the things that are weaknesses for me in some areas are things that are strengths in my writing and in other things that I'm interested in and love. But I know now that the same things that are strengths, like my hyperfocus, can go too far. The other day, I got really wrapped up into cleaning out my car. It just felt gross, and I ended up spending 6 hours, like heavy duty, cleaning my car, vacuuming, cleaning out under the floor, because it like pushes back and crumbs had been falling down under the floor for years, and no one ever used that space, so nobody looked. So I spent a really long time deep cleaning every part of the inside of my car, and at the end of the day, I could hardly walk. That's why I try not to let myself get into that sort of thing anymore. I try to do like 20 minutes of cleaning, then a 10-minute break, then 20 minutes of something, then a 10-minute break, because I know how I can get. I know that I can push myself until physically I can't go any further, until I finish the job, but I'm in so much pain for the next 3 days that I can hardly do anything else. For me, that's not a way that I generally would make excuses. What people are talking about is when I say words out loud aren't my strongest suit, and this is every time someone has said it to me, they'll say, "Oh, don't use your disability to make excuses." But it's not an excuse. It's an explanation. It's an explanation to help you understand that I communicate differently. It's a reminder to myself to be more gentle with myself and to not be so critical and spend 10 years thinking about something that I've said that I thought was stupid a minute after I said it. My whole life, I feel like I've been driven and worked hard for the things that I want and to help the people that I care about. And that isn't a bad thing, but it can go too far to the point where it's actually damaging. And this whole idea that we shouldn't let our disabilities get in the way, they're gonna get in the way. They're disabilities. They don't have that name because they make life easier in this world that we live in. So don't take my explanation for being different as an excuse. It's not. I'm just telling you that this is me and that I won't hurt myself to make you feel more comfortable and that I won't hurt myself to make anyone else happy. So that is it. I don't think I really have anything else to say. If you like this video, I would love it if you'd give it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in all things autism, which is what I'm always talking about around here, I would love it if you'd hit subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.